And we're live. Hello and welcome to the 159th episode of HEX Therapy Live. I'm your host, Maddie ALLin, and I've got a great show for you tonight. We're going to be talking about the hack that affected much of decentralized crypto today, how HEX users were unaffected. I'm going to tell you why that thumbnail is such a good one. And there's incredible things happening in the world right now in terms of monetary easing that's happening at the Fed. So I want to break down some of that stuff for everybody because I've been really excited. I wrote an entire article about why ETH is such a good buy for people who are stuck in the stock market and don't have any who don't have any crypto. So look, this is going to be a good one. Hit the like and subscribe button. Thanks for being here.
It's from Maddie ALLin of HEX Therapy Live. I like Maddie. Maddie tries to make the world a healthier place. He's a mental health professional. He's done research.
Videos on sudden wealth syndrome.
There's nothing that a human being could do better than try and heal his fellow man.
Maddie ALLin's got that covered. He does emotional, feel-good, mind management, emotion stuff, like as his gig, because he's a therapist. That's what he does for a living. Like, he helps heal people.
So I'll tell you what I saw today when the world of crypto was turned upside down because there was some sort of hack that was affecting people. This is something that turned out to be talked about as a ledger hack, which most people think of as a hardware device. But in fact, it was part of some, I guess, network architecture or some sort of software development kit that has been built into a lot of different DeFi websites. So it was affecting people who had connected to any decentralized app, not just people who have a certain type of hardware wallet. And so that was a really troubling news. The hack was going on for about 2 hours. I heard that they didn't get away with a whole lot of money because it was caught very quickly by a developer. And it just points to a lot of huge problems with the difference between fake DeFi and real DeFi. You'll notice that a lot of the stuff in the Richard Heart ecosystem, well, everything in the Richard Heart ecosystem was unaffected in terms of the stuff that Richard has made. In terms of stuff that people have made in Pulse Chain, a lot of our stuff was unaffected. So Time Pays Me, which is a protocol that I put out there, we did not use this library of code that was affected. Neither did Hex Scout or a number of other places. So we've seen a lot of founders coming on Twitter today announcing that their users are not affected by this because their users used their thing. Basically, they knew what they were doing, right? And it really highlights, it goes back to this idea of what is real crypto and what's the best real crypto. Is it something that you can program on? Is it something that was made by Richard Hart? Or was it all of these fake versions of DeFi where an ex-employee can get phish attacked and then some code is uploaded to a server somewhere and people are getting hacked just because they connected to something in all of the quote unquote decentralized world. But if you have a centralized vulnerability like that, it's not true DeFi. So I think a lot of us today would be thankful that we were not affected. And certainly I feel for anybody who did lose crypto. I don't think that there was a whole ton of money lost in this one, but certainly crypto is a place where it's a miracle that anything works. And I mean, this was no different. This is in a long list of examples of people doing crypto wrong, right? Whether you're buying on a centralized exchange and leaving it there and having a middleman involved in holding on to your crypto, or whether you're using fake DeFi or fake crypto. I mean, all these things are really important to pay attention to. And, you know, so that's kind of a big deal that happened today. Another incredible thing that I saw is that there were some Twitter spaces that were hosted about this. I logged into 2 of them. Some of the mainstream people in crypto and in Twitter were hosting. Mario had a space. I thought some of the information presented there was okay, but they kept wanting to talk about the Fed policy. Like, the guests didn't all even understand that this affected people beyond certain people who have hardware wallets. They didn't understand that this was crypto wide and it was breaking. And so the conversation had to be refocused awkwardly a couple times because basically because the speakers weren't terribly knowledgeable and they were trying to take their shot at having a bigger audience for once, because they don't have any organic engagement in the rest of crypto. The rest of crypto gets you so wrecked that you don't go back. You subscribe, and then you don't even bother unsubscribing because you've already moved on. In the HEX community, you find we have the highest engagement. We have the most YouTubers, and we're building a better future in crypto that apparently is a lot more technically competent than all of these other fake DeFi protocols. So that's a pretty big deal. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, I loved making the thumbnail for today because there's a part in the best crypto documentary of all time. It's actually an action movie. It's like it's a real life action movie, which I've never really heard anybody say, but it definitely, the highest of stakes about Richard Hart and the HEX community, that's a story that's still playing out. I don't know of any documentaries where the documentary feels like an action movie and the story is still unfolding in the real world and nobody's talking about it except the people who are at the heart of it. And so anyway, yeah, I've watched the movie 8 or 9 times already. So I can already understand how it's going to turn into a cult classic once these green candles, print their way into the hearts and minds of everybody who's aware of HEX, but has been sleeping on it or misunderstood it at first. And we're already seeing the movie changing people's minds. So what do you think is going to happen when people go back and watch it with a different perspective? That, oh, what if everybody in HEX got super rich? Like last cycle. What if this cycle is not different? What if this cycle is the same, where HEX outperforms everything after it waits its turn? So that's a pretty exciting idea. But anyway, back to the movie. So there's a scene where the founder of a ranking website that for a time did correctly list HEX as it rose up to be the number 3 cryptocurrency, although not reported on many other websites. This was Clay Collins, the founder of Nomics, who appears in the Highest of Stakes documentary. He has a famous line in the movie where he says that, he's like answering questions like, well, is HEX a scam? And he wants to say yes, but he's like, no. Like, what about Richard? Is he a scammer? And Clay, knows the whole situation really well. And he's really wants to say yes to that too. But he's like, no, Richard's not a scammer. HEX isn't a scam. And then they're like, but is HEX a cult? And he's like, yeah, HEX is a cult, right? And we're okay with that because we believe in something so much compared to everybody else around us who are ignoring the facts of crypto, right? So Clay has this quote in the movie where he says that he's basically saying that Hexicans are so enthusiastic, like blindly enthusiastic, that that if the taco truck down the street from him went out of business, that Hexicans would tweet HEX users unaffected, which of course Clay is pointing out has nothing to do, like HEX has nothing to do with the taco truck. But I thought it was interesting last year at the HEX conference on January 9th, when Richard spoke for the third year in a row, he brought up the point of the hidden wisdom in the quote, HEX user unaffected. So I thought that would be a fun title for the stream today. I know that it's possible that somebody who owns HEX could have been affected by this hack. But in the core of what it means to like believe in HEX and to follow this idea of long-term thinking, you might not be clicking a button every single day, trading back and forth or gambling on something because you're so sure of this long-term future. You already understand how compound interest works and that the way that it's presented in the HEX smart contract is superior to any other crypto. Look, and there are ones I don't talk about that I'm including, that I understand, and I'm including in my list of things where, well, I know HEX is better, right? So not everybody has studied HEX enough or has gotten to that conclusion or has had like the emotional journey of losing all hope because you put money into HEX and it went down, but then it went up and it went up a lot and it went up way more than you ever thought it would. So I hope that experience comes to the people who have been waiting next, but to the short-term thinkers and the people who think that they're just going to sit on liquid HEX and outperform the long-term stakers. Well, that's the beauty of the thing. It's like you could still do really well in liquid HEX. So that's a beautiful thing. HEX users unaffected, right? And we got the DeLorean on the thumbnail too. I mean, this is a very high quality thumbnail for the amount of time that I put into it, which was about a minute or something. But yeah, look at that beautiful DeLorean pulling up on this broken down taco truck representing all of DeFi right now. All those websites that you shouldn't have connected to. And tacos are flying. We're going 88 miles per hour. And we're not looking back because the future is bright for people in HEX and Pulse Chain. That's what I see in the thumbnail. But then again, I just asked ChatGPT to show it like it is. Let's see. So you all saw the Richard tweet. It was a banger. I retweeted this. I quote tweeted it and said, in my opinion, this is like the most bullish Richard Hart tweet I've ever seen, because I've never seen the future in the same way that I see it now. And look, I am not a financial advisor and I do not run the Fed. But I've taken an economics class and I've studied for many years, like casually, how the market cycle works. And I really think that there's a lot of stuff lining up for us here in the economy, in the macro situation. So I wrote about that. But so anyway, that's part of the reason why me seeing Richard being like basically, he said, I understand security and you do not. I predict the future and you do not. This is the old Richard back. This is the Richard that is educating the entire crypto space. And that's the Richard a lot of us fell in love with. That's the Richard that a lot of us like gained something from when we weren't up on our bags. When we were in it for the tech and for the understanding and for, the hope and belief that financially we could do well. But it wasn't from his work either. It was just, here's a smart guy who invented a finished product and he's talking about crypto differently than everybody else. And everybody, whether they love him or hate him, is learning more from him than anybody else in crypto. And you finally reach a tipping point, and we started to see it with a lot of people, whether they saw the Highest of Stakes documentary, like Blockchain Boy and Altcoin Daily. What do you think is going to happen when altcoin season hits and a Hex and Pulse chain go racing up, doing a 5 or 10 or 20 or 100 or 1000x? What do you think is going to happen to the way that people watch the Highest of Stakes? It's going to completely change people's perception of every scene in the movie. So stay tuned for that, for sure. We have a cult classic on our hands here. Richard's talking about, the repos that shouldn't be trusted, all these, the hack that was propagated downstream to front ends because devs trust centralized repos, which is dumb and lazy. And not everybody in crypto builds things correctly because they're in a rush, because they're getting paid before they ever build anything. And again, what do you see in the ecosystem of Pulse Chain? Already, you see builders who are more long-term, who are delivering better products. I don't even think I could list all the founders that I saw posting on Twitter today saying that their stuff was not affected. And guess what? They like Hex. They're in the Hex community. So that's pretty cool. RH said, crypto, your devs are trash. Your apps are trash, and I am better than you. This should and does make you angry. Why am I better than you? He goes on, I am better than you. The software I founded is better than yours. The devs are better than yours. You need to learn from us. We are better than you. Period. You're wrecked. We're running flawlessly. Can't get hacked by CDNs and NPM vulnerabilities because we don't use them. I literally described the attack vector to you and how to mitigate it in this prior tweet from November 25th, 2 or 3 weeks ago. Yeah. Yeah. And, Ledger also lost people's data back in the day. So, they screw up all the time. It's wild. And what do you know? What's the only hardware wallet that Maddie talks about? Trezor. That's right. Link in the description below. I tried out Ledger and Trezor, and I heard every influencer back in 2017 saying both so many times I didn't even know which was which. But now I know which is which because Trezor is what I recommend to people. It's what I use. And Ledger is the one that keeps getting hacked left, right, and center. So that's cool. Can't lose your data, says Richard Hart. Don't have it, refers to a tweet. We're better than you. What does this tweet say? The only way to truly protect people's data is to not have it. DNS takeovers can screw you. IPFS gateways can screw you. Auto updates can screw you. Domain name takeovers can screw you. CDNs and DNS can screw you. This is why you download your own code and update only when you choose. This keeps you safe. This is how we do it. Now he's yelling in all caps, which he rarely uses, I would point out. PulseChain, PulseX, Hex are code you download and run with no middlemen. He's still yelling. Anyway, sorry for the rest of crypto, which is stupider than me, doesn't listen to me, so you poor users out there lose millions of dollars and your privacy again and again and again. Maybe you should join a winning team instead of a losing team. Hex, flawless operation for 4 years. Pulse chain, flawless operation for 7 months. Learn from us. I'd list the stupid products that were caught by the bad design pattern that let them get hacked, quote unquote, but they're so very, very numerous. Maybe quote, retweet, and tag them. Just because Ledger infrastructure got hacked doesn't mean your app had to be hacked too. You could have learned from my teaching instead, said Richard. Boom. 120K views, 3.1 likes, 1.4 retweets. That's a huge ratio of retweets to likes. Pretty rare there. Very cool. Well, how do you like that, people? How do you like Richard Hart saving our asses once again because he invented real crypto lately, the programmable kind, and everybody else, all the haters are wrecked. So there you go. Beautiful thing. Oh, hey, by the way, I also have a way for people to not get hacked. It's something I've been talking about since, well, over a year now, but we launched on July 4th, 2023, Independence Day is when timepays.me launched. So, of course, Richard deserved his victory lap. I took a little victory lap too, I guess, because I've read off my seed words to $10,000 and posted it online, and I still have my money. How's that possible, you might ask? How could Maddie reveal his seed words that really had the money in them and it's provable on chain, but his money didn't get stolen by anybody? Is everybody online that honest? Are all the thousands of people who are watching on the replay, are they all just like so rich and happy that they wouldn't take his $10,000? Well, that may be true. But in fact, I used a second seed phrase to secure my first seed phrase before I shared it. Keyword before. Keyword before. So this isn't going to undo a hack if you've already been hacked. Apologies. But it's something that you could make part of your forward-looking plan. For me, I like Time Pays Me because it does more than just be able to undo a hack, because there's a 7-day withdraw period. You're holding both of the seed phrases yourself, so you don't have to worry about a middleman. And so it's a pretty cool thing. If your first seed phrase gets compromised because you didn't secure it right, or because you clicked approve on your hardware wallet and you didn't understand what you were approving, it happens sometimes in DeFi, unfortunately. The hacker, even with your seed phrase, cannot take your funds if you're monitoring the account and have your second seed phrase already set up. So beautiful, beautiful invention. Definitely made crypto history with that one, but not a lot of people use it yet. Actually, we don't even spy on our users, and we haven't even set up all the analytics to even look at how many users we have. But I know at one point we had passed $1 million worth of tokens put in there. Look, I have a lot of my tokens in there. And the other thing that you can do with Time Pays Me, whether you're on Ethereum or on Pulse Chain, is you can pay your future self, because if you lock longer than a week, you can go up to 55 years and it'll drip back to you over the amount of time that you have locked, or you can have it all come out at one point in the future. And then you can also pay yourself from your savings to motivate healthy behaviors. That's something we'll talk about more in the future, but it's live on the DApp now. You can learn more by going to timepays.me and playing around with it. Give it a try. Secure a little bit of your crypto from your own weak hands. Look, it's not our fault that we want to sell on 1,000,000x, but think of your future self, and and try paying your future self at one point or another, what you might find is that you have a new attitude towards life and towards yourself when you bind yourself to the future like this. So it's a deeply experiential and psychological phenomenon, what we're seeing in the HEX community, and now with Time Pays Me, being able to pay your future self. So yeah, I mean, look, and if you read my article about how high Ethereum is about to go in this next bull market, yikes, you definitely need to lock up some of that. Let's see. A lot of stuff on the ledger hack. The Pulse Chain Bridge removed its 0.3% fee, so it's now free from a bridge free perspective. It is now free to move your coins from Ethereum to Pulse Chain. That's really cool. Hexy Bastard had a great stream yesterday. Tuned in for that. Here's the article. I'm really proud of this because I wrote this without AI. Sure, I used AI to like calculate a few things, but what does it say here? Are you onboarding somebody to crypto who likes stocks? So if they're already in crypto, you don't have to tell them to like buy Ethereum, right? Because if they already have Bitcoin or Ethereum, they're doing okay right now. Or if they've been DCAing into it at least. But look, maybe there are people in your life and they're too much into the stock market, but they're not in crypto at all. They're not ready to get into HEX or Pulse Chain or anything. How can you help them? Well, check out this article that I wrote that is really geared towards people that I'm thinking of in my life that maybe yeah, of course, everybody in my life has some Pulse and HEX and PulseX, but I mean, are they really going to be financially free on this next bull run? Are they really going to be crypto millionaires on this next bull run? I mean, they could be. I think HEX and Pulse will do a 100x, but I also think that the more people put in, the better they're going to do into crypto. And so if somebody's stuck on the fence and they're not putting anything in during all the time, we've just had a whole year of sideways and we had a year of down. So if somebody hasn't been taking a part of that opportunity, we've just reached the point in the Ethereum cycle and the business cycle where it's not totally believable that we're going to go into another Great Depression immediately. I understand that, like, you know, there's lots of debt and everybody listens to fear porn on the news, but there's a lot of really good signs right now. I mean, GDP in America was like 2.5% or 5% around there for a while. Inflation, sure, prices aren't going down. We already knew that. Inflation is just from them printing money. So like, it's dumb to even think that it's due to anything else. The reason why you would think that it's due to something else is because technology is like making up all the gains of the money printing. And so instead of making things cheaper, it just keeps prices about the same, but then the government like pushes it into overdrive and makes everything a little bit more expensive to drive the business cycle and investment. And you could say it's good or bad. You'd probably say it's bad, but you could say it's good. Anyway, there is a 4-year cycle to elections. There's a 4-year cycle to crypto, and the Federal Reserve is the one who prints all the money. And the market lately has been taking their signals. They just met yesterday. That's why the market is up so much, is because everybody thinks they're going to start money printing again. Normally, the stock market goes down for a quarter when interest rates stop rising. And then that's called the Fed pivot. They start lowering interest rates. Money is cheaper to borrow. People can refinance their homes. They can spend more money on debt. and people have more money than the people who actually own things or who are actually being productive, and have, enough privilege to be paid a lot. Those people start investing in high risk things. Crypto is one of the most high risk things. And so that's why we can see the connection between what's happened in the past and what might happen here in the future. So let's go into dark mode here. Oh, that's not good. That's not going to work. Okay. So there's like this old thing in investing, like, oh, how would you have done in Vanguard if you had put $10,000 in 500 years ago or, 40 years ago? And there's all this rhetoric around like the 10K number. So, I've been hearing that for 20 years. So maybe this number needs to get like upwards revised, but hey, crypto's risky. Not everybody has this kind of money, but like if somebody did have this kind of money, they might want to know why they would buy 4.5 ETH for 10K before 2024. So the subtitle of this article is the 2024 election cycle meets the tech cycle. And AI and more. So this is a chart that isn't showing up super clear here. This is the amount of months since the first increase that the Fed continues to increase rates. And so we can see here in the black line that the Fed has raised interest rates higher and faster than any of the previous periods, going back to 1988. And the line is already looking about as long and tall as these other lines. And so that's why people are thinking that we're headed towards interest rates being programmed down again, which would lead to another bull market in stocks and crypto. And that would sync up with the election cycle. People say Biden would get more votes because the economy would look more healthy in the short term. Don't use leverage. Don't take loans to enter crypto. I've got all my disclaimers. This is not investment advice. I'm writing about what other people are saying. It's financial commentary. It ages like spoiled milk. If I'm wrong about something, it's probably because one of the market conditions changed. Never spend more than you're willing to lose. If you're not convinced about crypto being a bigger part of the future, you might end up playing more catch up later. That's another risk. And at least consider these points about where we are in the financial cycle. So I think every economist would agree that when the Fed pivots their economic policy from increasing interest rates to cutting interest rates, I thought that they would do it yesterday, but the more I've studied it, their rhetoric pivoted, their dot plot, which shows what they're planning to do in the future, that all changed big time. The markets are all ripping because, even the foreign exchange markets that don't move ever moved like 1%. So it's nuts how even every other country in the world is being caught off guard and going, oh shit, the Fed really is going to make this like election bull run happen. To what people are saying on the internet. I don't know if it's true. Okay. So my prediction, when the Fed pivots, they start lowering rates, either today, this was yesterday, or in 2 months. Some people already said that the Fed pivoted. Really, I don't know if this counts as that because they just didn't raise or lower, but they changed their expectations and they changed their tune on what they're going to be doing in the future. So you might consider that a pivot, or you might say that the pivot happens when they actually start lowering rates. Then you would see a downturn, but it's interesting because there are all these millennials in the market now and they're all using AI and they might be front running any kind of dip that happens. I mean, it's possible. It's less likely. So if you get a dip, even if it's 20% in ETH in the really short term, I would still say that that's okay. But I wouldn't even sit out the market. If you have 0 ETH, I would get off 0 probably. And you don't even have to take custody yourself. I know that sounds terrible, but if you're literally stuck in the stock market, you own no crypto, you might like the ticker on the stock market, ETHE. ETHE is grayscale Ethereum. And if you buy 10K of that you would imagine is going to track price-wise similar. And so if somebody did this who was unsure about crypto, and then your predictions about the economy and about Ethereum were true, then they might believe you with your next prediction, right? So that's like the main idea here, is that if somebody's already not going to get into real crypto, then what are the steps that they might need to take before they get into real crypto? Because if you tell people, hey, buy ETHE, back when I was telling people now, I'm telling people now, or I mean, I pretty much bought the bottom of ETHE when it was a 35% discount and Ethereum was $900 per ETH. I didn't buy enough of it, but I knew the trade was there. And yeah, so I'm just holding that in a long-term retirement account that the money was already stuck in legacy. I probably bought $1,000 worth. So it's not anything to like brag all over the internet about, but I think again, it's going to the credibility of how do we onboard people into like the real true things? And I think it's by showing competence and by making a call, that somebody could do their own research on and get into, like owning Ethereum on the stock market. And then if that does well, maybe they will take custody, maybe they'll sell that, move the fiat into HEX or Pulse or even Ethereum on Coinbase or on MetaMask. So yeah, that's just the whole point here that I'm saying. Then you got the Bitcoin ETF approval. That's expected to be approved by US regulators in January 2024. They don't talk. So like I made a note of this. What the internet is saying is that normally the SEC normally isn't giving companies feedback when there's like 7 or 10 companies that have filed for a Bitcoin ETF. The SEC doesn't start like talking about whether it'll be what's called a cash create or an in-kind ETF. They don't start arguing over that and making a distinction. They don't start deciding which way it's going to go. They don't start that discussion until they're already pretty sure that they're going to approve it. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I heard on the interwebs today. So that's pretty interesting. BlackRock, the largest asset manager in the world, and I said 5 in the article. I think it's really 7 or 10 other Wall Street trusts. They have applied for years to get their ETF approved, and all of them, almost all of them, I think 80% of them are also applying to get an ETH ETF approved at the same time that they're getting approval for Bitcoin. So even though the Bitcoin one might get approved first, where do you think there's more upside in the market? And I think Bitcoin has already been touting this narrative that they're closer than ETH. But if Bitcoin does really well from that and then ETH does well, there might be more upside in ETH. I think the ETH market has already started pricing this in, but it has way more going for it. There's a lot of other fundamentals on ETH. And I almost didn't mention like government approvals. It's not like super crypto, but it does matter to a lot of individuals who would otherwise not take action. And I was even saying yesterday, if I knew somebody who had 25K in ETH today, I would not tell them to start short-term trading it. Because even if you think that there's going to be a 20% chance that it goes, or even if you think it's going to drop 20%, because most things retrace, and because when the Fed pivots, normally things are hot and then they cool down and then the real bull market starts, as I've been describing. Again, it's like millennials, the only way that they're ever going to own homes is by taking more risk. And if they're using AIs to like in a very lazy, like it's very lazy. It's not lazy. It's very easy to ask an AI like what is going to happen this cycle to like get the 4-year cycle thing right. So that's not a secret anymore. And it's interesting because in markets, if something isn't a secret anymore, sometimes it's already priced in. But also sometimes it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like you saw with HEX, 10,000x. HEX did exactly a 10,000x because people were expecting it. And so, you know, you can always say, yeah, the market will trick you and all this and that. But if you're on a long enough time frame, it's less likely you're going to get tricked by the market if you're picking correctly. It sucks when you pick correctly and then you still lose because your time frame was too short. But if you pick the right thing and if you stay in it long enough, that's the sweet spot. So I would not recommend short-term trading, even if you do think you know what's going to happen next, because that's the nature of markets, is that you could end up with way less ETH and way less crypto. And then you might feel dumb because you knew that we were going to get a bull cycle and you screwed it up. You failed your future self. So, ooh, this is good. It's easy to understand that ETH has the best fundamental technology in the entire world of finance. Spoiler alert. Pulse Chain has the same technology. But here I'm making the case for ETH. So I said 88%. Oh, this is crazy. This is true. I looked this up. 88% of the gains in the S&P 500 in the first half of 2023 were in only the top 7 tech giants, meaning that just 12% of all the profits came from the other 493 leading companies in the US. What is this teaching us? That tech continues to pull away at an exponential speed in terms of gains from other asset sectors. Might just be a giant tech bubble, but I know I spend more on software as a service and technology than in the past, and that number is going up about the crazy amount that it would have to. So now, I mean, if your PE ratio, I actually forgot to write in, there's too much to cover basically, but if you figure I think Anthony Pompliano is like calculating the PE ratio of Ethereum because it burns fees, and he calculated it as 95, which means that in 95 years, like at current burn rates with like such a small percentage of the world using Ethereum, but the fees are really high. So that's part of the equation. But just with if the ETH burning fees stayed the same, that there would be no more ETH left in 95 years. Basically, that's kind of how a PE ratio works. But it's not really a PE ratio. In this case, it's just kind of one way to conceptualize how strong this buy and burn is for ETH, this EIP 1559. That's never existed in a bull market before. There's never been a top 3 crypto that was deflationary in a bull market. of crypto or a bull market of not crypto. That's never existed. Remember, Bitcoin is disinflationary. That means the inflation decreases over time, but it's still inflationary. Ethereum is on like a weird thing now where if nobody uses it, it inflates a little bit to pay the security budget. And if a normal amount of people use it or a lot of people use it, then it burns like crazy. So yeah, that's a big deal. Now these tech stocks, if they have a PE ratio of 150, that means the amount of earnings that they're getting, it would take 150 years to buy the value of the stock at today's price. So whatever. Look, Amazon didn't have any earnings for lots of years, and they had a PE ratio of like something stupid like 200 or 500 or something, and they did just fine. So I don't think like these old school methods for calculating value is like the only thing that you need to know, but it's fun to think about ETH the way that legacy people think about it so that they can catch up to the future. And Ethereum has been trading like a risk on tech stock rather than being decorrelated from the market. That's cool. Or not. I mean, it's not cool, but it's cool if stocks are going to go up. How about that? Does AI agree? This is a great section. Well done, Maddie. I'm patting myself on the back here. Okay. So I asked ChatGPT for a paid model from OpenAI, which refused to answer my question about the price of Ethereum going into the future until I asked it twice. Okay. All I had to do was ask it twice. And then when the second time I asked, it like ran into an error, and then I had to click a regenerate button, and then it gave me the answer that I was expecting. And so I showed my entire history. You kind of have to zoom in if you really want to see it, but I showed like my entire input and output for that, which is pretty cool. Good job. So the question I was asking is how high is the all-time price of ETH in 2024 to 2025 if the 4-year crypto cycle repeats? And it like started giving me all these like pussy answers. And then I had to say, I'm more of an expert than you. I'm asking for a number based on continuing the same moves from prior cycles. Pretty simple. And then it gives me the low in 2015 was around 50 cents. The all-time high in January 2018 was $1,400. I remember that. And that's a 280,000% move. The 2018 to 2021 cycle saw Ethereum as low as $80. I remember that. And saw it as high as 4,800, which is a 60x. And so it's calculating that the next all-time high like stopped analyzing, and then it finally gave me the answer. 16,457. If like the pattern repeats. I think that's even with diminished gains, right? Because that's not a 60x, is it? Because our low is 900. So I don't think we're getting a 2800x. I'm doing $900 times 60x. I don't think we're going to see Ethereum be $54,000 in this cycle. But if we see from the bottom, I'm just calling 900. If we see 16,000, what is that? 457 divided by 900. That's an 18x. Okay. That's what it would look like for Ethereum to do an 18x from its recent low this cycle. Ethereum would be getting to $16,400. That's an 18x. So then this is fun. So I went, I have the AI now. I had to click regular mode on Twitter, X. This one's named Grok. So I said to Grok, I asked ChatGPT, your competitor, this question, and it took 3 tries to give an answer that I found valid, a number. Let's see if you can do better. How high is the all-time high price of ETH in 2024 to 2025 if the 4-year crypto cycle repeats? Grok didn't give me any BS. Look at how nice and sweet and short the answer is. It still warned me of making investment decisions without considering multiple sources. Hey, cool. I like that. But it simply said, if the 4-year crypto cycle repeats, the all-time high price of ETH in 2024 to 2025 could potentially reach $16,140, according to one of the provided sources. However, cryptocurrency price predictions are speculative and subject to various market factors, so it's essential to conduct thorough research and consider multiple sources before making investment decisions. Hey, that's fair game. This is where before I plugged in the numbers to AI, I was just thinking in my head, what would the next bull market look like for ETH? And I came up with in the worst case, and I put timeframes on all this, we would be seeing a shorter run into 2024, and then it would die out, and we would see Ethereum only go to $5,100. I think a normal crypto cycle would see ETH up at least at 9,000-ish is my normal. And that would be occurring in April 25 based on the timing of the previous cycles. The top would be in April 2025 if the cycle repeats based on my napkin math that I checked. So I said day trading is really risky. It's 1,000% more risky than day trading stocks. In crypto and in stocks, the downside is 100%, but in crypto, the upside is 10x normally. If the cycle repeats, 18x. If we get the same increase in ETH as last cycle, 60x. If we get the same as 2 cycles ago, it's a 2,800x in a year and a half. So yeah, don't trade away your future trying to play these short-term dips. Just get off 0 and then figure it out. Okay, so I said you could have bought Ethereum in 2014 to 2015. That's when they did their initial offering, and you could buy it for 30 cents. In 2016, I bought 1 Ethereum for $12.50, and I paid a $7.50 fee to Coinbase. Yikes. Then I forgot about it. I wish I didn't. I wish I bought more. I wish I put hundreds of dollars into it at that point, but I didn't. It's okay. ETH hit $1,400 in 2017, the next year. And then it dipped to $90, where I bought it in 2019, a little bit. Again, not enough. And then you could sell it on Richard Hart's top call for $4,500 in 2021. And you could have bought ETH at $900 at the end of last year, 2022. So if it only goes to 9K, like I think, or 16K, like AI thinks, you might figure it's undervalued at $2,200 today. This is a fun fact. The second great American solar eclipse of this century, all happening in the past decade, is coming up on April 8th, 2024. And that's the same month that Bitcoin is expected to reach its 4-year halving. So there's some like woo-woo stuff happening there. Maybe Somi would be interested in that, you know? Maybe Brissology and other people who like I don't know. I miss Brissology. That's probably why I bring him up. But yeah, that's and the last time we had an American solar eclipse was August 2017, just as Bitcoin was going into its bull market, crossing $2,000 and going up to $20,000. So even old man Bitcoin was doing a 10x last time we had a great American solar eclipse. So that'll be cool. And then, oh yeah, remember, worldwide political policies cause macro easing and printing and money creation of dollar-denominated debt through lowering interest rates and facilitating ever-increasing trillions of made-up value spread through interbank loans, international credit facilities, even asset purchases from the public market, which is technically a nationalized subsidy, you might argue. I don't know. Maybe not. And stimulus plans for insiders. Fed money printing is what drives risk on markets like tech stocks and crypto. Boom. That's a macro factor that's bullish for ETH. Yeah, and then we had the ETH becoming deflationary, which was the 2.0 merge that happened on September 15th, 2022. I remember that date from memory because I was really sick then and I didn't have anything better to do than sit around and watch how it played out. Yeah, so we already covered that point. Yeah, so somebody could buy at the time of writing this article, which I hope I help people in the future, and it's people listen to it now instead of only when it's proven right, or wrong. You might even consider it's irresponsible to not have a little ETH if you already have a significant long-term savings in dollars. So, you know, the stock market's at all-time highs. Why not rotate a little bit into ETH right before it does its expected, you know, run here? And then if you did that, maybe you could rotate. Maybe there would be conditions that I've specified here where you would rotate into Pulse from Ethereum. If Ethereum tops and you know goes up 10 or 20x, like maybe you take a little, peel half of that or all of it, you roll it into Pulse if it hasn't topped yet. That's what I'm saying. Like if Pulse tops first, then I wouldn't like, you know, fight that cycle. You'd basically have to wait till next cycle. So if you're not going straight into Pulse, like there's a higher risk and a higher return for going straight into Pulse, I think. But there's also kind of following the whales and how they're going to start acting, or the masses, or anybody. I mean, it's just, what are people going to want? They're going to want Ethereum. People are going to want tech stocks. They're going to want Ethereum. They're going to want Pulse. They're going to want HEX. That's my understanding. So how beautiful of a thing would it be for our people who are playing catch up if they got to rotate their mad gains in stocks into ETH now, rode that up another 5x, then rotated into Pulse, saw a 10x out of that, and then rotated into HEX and started earning trustless yield, getting paid trustlessly. And here's another really good point. If the cost of the safest cars and decent healthcare and college are all going to keep rising at 20% a year, then your $10,000 of long-term savings will have the same purchasing power in 11 years as what buys you $1,000 of medicine today. That's a mathematical fact. Yeah. So, and like, if technology just did its thing and like caused deflation and the government didn't print so much, then you'd be okay just saving in dollars. But it's unknown what the economic policy is in the future of the dollar. But we know in Ethereum and we know in HEX, we know what the future monetary policy is, which is part of what makes this technology, in my opinion, better. And at the end of the day, it's whatever people are using as their savings technology ends up being the definite store of value or stores of value. And it's up to us, the people who produce goods and services, and how we exchange and store them, the value over time. It's up to us. It's not up to the government what people treat as money. It's up to people. Having both dollars and ETH is a good idea, and being productive is important. Then I told a little bit about my Bitcoin story, Ethereum story, HEX story, etc. And a little bio from Grok, the AI, talking about why I cosplay in real life as a real life person who owns a DeLorean, which symbolizes HEX's innovation, paying your future self. So how great is that article? The crowd goes wild. Let's get to the comments. What are people saying? Live like Maddie ALLin, the person who wrote the song. Love it. What's up? Crypto Pimp. So I did alert my Telegram group that's free, t.me/smartvaultme. I let people know what was going on. About the hack, about Richard's tweets, about anything that's going on. So you did get more messages than normal. Normally I do like 1 a day, 2 a day. Today you got like 6. So let's effing go. What's up? Hexagon lost in Asia. I like Maddie. T-Hex. Crypto Compassion. What's going on? The HEX conference in January is going to be lit. I think I got a couple of people who need to get back to me, and then I'm going to make this next big announcement. You know, that reminds me. I made a really big announcement. Actually, this is one of the biggest tweets I've ever had. Is a tweet that I just did last week on Friday. So we haven't had a HEX therapy since then. And I haven't really, I guess I mentioned it on Game Theory Gang, but I found a way to lip sync, use AI to translate a bunch of videos into other languages. And then the people who speak the other languages say that it's really well done. Well, I would say like 4 out of the 6 languages were rated as really well done. So this is a giant breakthrough, and Johnny Chaos said it best. He said that Hexicans are first, leading the way in innovation, and he listed all the ways that the HEX community was first in all these historic moments in crypto. He had a really long list, and he put this on there. The HEX conference translating into other languages, because crypto is a human right. And there are a lot of Ethereum Genesis whales that still need to hear about HEX. So if this is not even the thing that I'm most excited about for the HEX conference, you should be very excited for the announcement that I'm hoping to make tomorrow. But I have a couple of people that need to get back to me, interestingly enough. And you're live. That's right. What's up? Anders, Fox, Muldar, Tarnwig, Brissology, Hex users unaffected. Look at that. Taco Truck, RIP. That's right. The lows are in. Good evening, Melv Tony. Let's see. Drade. Good to see you there. Hex Extravagant Taste. Unplugged Dad. What's up? Working hard. Love it. People saying hi to each other in the chat. Briss was joking around. Can't be compromised. Carl, how's it going? Humble Richard is a nice default, says Adam. But days like today deserve Richard being sure of himself. There you go. Price of Hex, E-Hex, half a penny. P-Hex, 9/10 of a penny. Pulse, 4 zeros and a 5, which also is the lowest that Hex ever went in price, by the way. Not the lowest Pulse ever went. And PulseX, 4 zeros and a 1/4. $100 Hex says crypto pimp, but we don't like bearish predictions here. Depends on your time frame, of course. Richard used developers from outside of the crypto space. RH still needs to work on his humility. Other than that, he's great. T-share rate busted through 31,000. Only goes up and to the right, my friends. And 49.9K pulse chain validators worldwide. That's instances of software running, not people. But Willie B. Long 33. He's proud to be a validator in the beautiful state of Maine. When green candles, when weak hands stop selling, and when money printer go burr. Unplugged Dad. Today I was hit with a frying pan in the forehead. Time pays me is genius. There's so much potential with programmable money. There you go. I'm sorry for your forehead, but I agree that time pays me is genius. Bitcoin, 43K. ETH, $2,300. Remember that. 50 weeks, like RH said once. 50 weeks to shake out the weak hands. It's been 33 according to KDP. Running on Hex, Pulse Chain Bridge, and PulseX. Self-server file is the way to go. Free bridging. All right. I'm going to keep my career away from singing. How about that? Franklin needs more capital. Hey. Hell yeah. Who doesn't? You can't hack my T-shares. Wild. What's up, 43OG? Good to see you there. I hope you're well as well. MT Coiner, familiar screen name. Good to see you. Paul Sachs. People saying hi to each other in the chat. What a friendly, amazing community. We got Matt, Phoenix, Extraordinary. Met him in person. Crypto Truth. Hey fam, Sci Vibe for life. Quattro Cinco. Yeah, validate the like button or get out. If you haven't done either of those things by now, what are you waiting for? Crypto Gains Club 369 representing the top hat. And Hex Bula. What's good? Lazy Hexican? 2xing so hard right now. Show me the algo Hexicans are still here. Hulk smash the like button. Crypto Compassion. Maddie, you rock. Thanks. Keeping up great work. Maddie, what are your thoughts on Google Gemini? I haven't tried out their AI because they lied so much in the demo video that they made. So I tend to update my worldview about AI like every day. So just because a company doesn't impress me in one moment doesn't mean that I won't give them a second chance. But I mean, yeah, and it's Google. They have like a lot of data, so like theirs should be pretty good. But it was funny. I saw some like VC guys from like the ALLin podcast like calling Google out and being like, oh, good thing they stopped being pussies and finally put out a model that could be wrong, because now it can, do well on tests. I guess Gemini did well on testing against ChatGPT 4, but hey, at the end of the day, it's really going to matter how woke your GPT is and lazy versus I mean, I think Grok is really cool. I've started to play with that, but yeah, I'm still subscribed to ChatGPT 4. I like that. I'm trying other stuff all the time. Any conference updates? Asked and answered. I see a pattern that we're getting we're getting big news every Friday, it seems like. There's one data point that I have. And high expectations for tomorrow, but no expectations at the same time. When Hexpo Vegas 2.0, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a bull market and I delivered another fantastic, like another legendary type of value. Let's touch on that for a second, because I was in another Twitter Spaces today where I was not asked to speak, but there were a bunch of like high profile people who like are followed by Bitcoiners, but they mess with shitcoin. They like don't care who's following them, but they just want to be followed. And they were talking, the topic was security, which I know a lot about because I founded something that allows you to undo a hack, but of course they didn't call me up to stage. And, if I really wanted to be heard on the topic, I could have started my own Twitter space and gotten 500 people in there, but that wasn't the highest priority thing that I had to do today in order to make crypto history tomorrow for the entire HEX community. So, and the entire crypto space. So, I was just listening and seeing if they would bring me up. And they went completely off the topic of security and started into this like legitimate kind of civil war talk of Bitcoin. I don't think they realized it was civil war talk, but they were like, screw the Bitcoin conference. It's $700. It was like Miss Teen Crypto was in there, David Gokhshtein, like some other people. And it was just like, they were talking about, oh, remember when there used to be Bitcoin meetups and like how cool Bitcoin meetups are because they're like a good deal. They're not like trying to control it. Like Hexicans already know how cool meetups are because Abid and Patrick did 42 meetups all around the country. And Black Hexican and Discourse Syndicate are doing a tour now of 30 cities for Pulse Chain. And there's the Pulse Chain cruise. And Matty ALLin he took his DeLorean to 5 different meetups in the first year of a bull market. And then I've put on, I put on like 8 meetups, I think, if you count conferences. I did 2 48-hour streams where it wasn't just me, it was the entire community showing up. We're going into our 4th HEX conference. It's crazy. There's been Pulse conferences. All this stuff's been online and free in the past. And then I've done in-person stuff. All the stuff in the past I've just broken even on. This year, I am letting certain brands donate to get recognition that I would recognize anyway. So it kind of works out that way. But again, that's so I don't lose money on the thing. But I was listening to these people who have been in crypto a while, and all they wanted was to have real life meetups of incredible value. And they aren't getting that because the people who are running the Bitcoin conference are scammers and get good deals. So that's another area where Richard Hart, he'll brag about it. He's bragged about it before. We have the best community in crypto. And so I'm bragging about it. We have the best crypto conference. We have the most YouTubers in crypto. That's kind of the theme this year, as you'll see. yes, you can get a spot on the conference. You would fill out the speaker survey after reading the instructions carefully on hexconference.com. And you would want to do that quickly because you would imagine that the schedule is getting made very soon. What are your thoughts on Tangent Wallet? I haven't used it. Crypto7 likes it. I like Crypto7. It reminds me of Tangent's name. I like him. And I think there's pros and cons of different security postures and different backup postures. So, Brother of Chaos. So cool. You're so cool. It's Johnny Chaos's real brother. Although the person who plays Richard's brother is not really Richard's brother. What's up, Michael? Hexicans will do better yet again because we are the first crypto community to incorporate AI. Hell yeah. Facts. And look, we're going to brag about that. We're going to get that out there. I've got a really cool master plan, but I can't give it away all at once. What you should be seeing, though, if you're paying attention, is that as far as all the stuff Maddie's doing, the dominoes are starting to fall, and Maddie wouldn't be able to do any of this without the community. So shout out to you all because you all make this possible. Adjust the AI for Japanese grammar. Could. It's going to keep getting better every week. I'm staying up with this company. They have less followers than me, so somebody needs to popularize AI video translation around here. So if I use Revoke Cash with my ledger, I'm compromised. I use for the protocols in the Pulse Chain ecosystem. It would, as I understand it, which I'm not myself a developer, but as I understand it, there was a 2-hour period where if you were using any of the Web3 apps that used this library, such as revoke.cash, you'd be compromised. However, that was in the wee hours of the morning, I believe, or at least early morning this morning. So if you used it yesterday, I think you're fine. If you used it today, I think it's questionable. If your funds haven't moved yet, then you're probably okay. But what people are being asked to do is wait 24 hours and then reassess. So like keep tuning in and listening. That's what I'm doing. I'm just not touching anything. But like that's where people would normally go, is to go like revoke permissions. And in this case, that would have been the wrong move. See how complicated it is? Aren't you glad you're in RH coins? With so many AI tools out there, I think AI experts in our community should figure out which tools are the best for each use case. I agree. Yeah, it's going to be cool. And some of it's expensive. So again, it's like if you're in a crypto that's doing really well, then maybe people donate enough to like make that affordable. How cool is that? Bullish divergence on the HEX daily chart. I haven't logged into a wallet in weeks. Stake and chill. Hexicans unaffected, says MT Corner. Matthew was grabbing a snack, and now he's liked the video. Thank you. Haven't touched my address in months, says Tarnwig. Beautiful, beautiful. Crypto history. RH on stream question mark. I've publicly said that I don't know if Richard's going to speak or not. I've also publicly said that I would love him to speak, and he's spoken every year in the past. So, I don't know. So you will live, I hope, in as much anticipation as I will. But how cool is it? Wait a second. Wait, is Maddie saying that there are a shitload of surprises other than RH speaking that he's sure of? And then there are other things that could happen that would be like also really cool that he's not sure of. Wow, there's gotta be, wow, that seems like I'm not going to say perfect storm because Crypto 7 taught me that means a bad thing. Whatever the opposite of a perfect storm is. How about that? What's up, Hex Bay? Peace and love. I think this theme should also be first to AI. Hey, I like that, Franklin. I really like that. I like that a lot. That's short, too. I'm going to make a note of that because that is a really short thing to say, and it is powerful. Yeah. I can't wait for you guys to see what the news that's coming out tomorrow. It's going to be sick. Cool. Hex Glenn, good to see you there. So we have 133 people watching live. We have typically 1,500 to 2,500 people watching on the replay. But that's just on YouTube. We've been blowing up on Twitter lately because luckily Hexicans are the first ones to stream directly to Twitter and to YouTube and to Twitch and to all kinds of places that people can find us. What do you think of that? So, yeah, I mean, our stream from Tuesday off the bat got like 1,700 views on Twitter. So we are crushing it there. Every time you guys have figured out that you can hit the like button on the stream, even if you've already seen it, that just like ups the social validation and pushes it out to more people who haven't seen it. Look, the world of finance professionals, they're all on X. They're all on Twitter. So we're in the right place. We just need to be in the right language and keep being first to everything. How does that sound? So with that being said, I have my work cut out for me to get the rest of these announcements going along. So unless there's anything else, we talked about Hexicans being unaffected by taco trucks. We talked about a hack. We talked about how to undo a hack. We talked about Richard being back and making the most bullish tweet I've ever seen, given the context that I'm super bullish on ETH, which is going to be really good, in my opinion, for Hex and Pulse Chain. So I gave you the tools that I would want to be able to onboard people who are only in stocks and get them nudging their way into crypto. So I think this was an excellent episode. I hope you think so too. If you agree, I would love for you to let me know what you think in the comments. Leave a comment, replay gang. Let me know you're real. Let me know what you're thinking. How about that? Sometimes, always, it really impresses me when I go to a meetup and I meet people and I get to actually talk at length with them. And some of you have been following me for 3 years now, and some of you have heard many or all of the ideas that I've ever said on the internet. And so when I meet you, you have really cool things to tell me because you know everything that I know and you know more and you have your own take on it. So that's another reason why I'm a huge fan of organizing events for the community and not scamming people like Tony did with the Pulse Con. So yeah, you could tell we've had a great episode. We've had a great week. Crypto's headed in the right direction. We might get some short-term fake outs and downturns, but overall, if the money printer go burr, crypto is going to be right there. So with that being said, until next time, get a Trezor from the link in the description below. It costs you the same, helps out the channel. Claim your COM token after, wait on that for a couple days. But use my referral link because it costs you nothing and it gives me 1% of the COM in addition to the 100% that it gives you. Do you want to claim 100% of your COM and then Maddie gets nothing, or do you want me to get 1%? I don't care either way, but I want you to get your calm, because as I was telling famous poker player Alec Torelli last night, yeah, the price of HEX is down a lot. Yeah, the Highest of Stakes movie was awesome. Yeah, I still believe in RH, and I still believe in HEX and Pulse Chain, but also there's lots of different ways to capture your value when you add up all of the airdrops, all of the free claims. And so I was guiding him on claiming calm, because even though it's dipped, it's still 25 free cents for every t-shirt that you have on Pulse Chain. So check it out. Claim your calm. Go to hexcommunity.com to claim your calm when you do. And stay safe out there, folks. Take care of yourself. Remember, the best way to improve your mental health is a combination of self-care and self-esteem. And so when you don't believe that you're worthy of good things, then you can fake it till you make it, and you take care of yourself. And then while you're doing that, you tell yourself that you're worth it, and that will reinforce the subconscious belief and lead you to more positive self-esteem and better, a better combination of mental and physical health. So until next time, this has been Maddie ALLin, Hex Therapy Live. Until next time, stake wisely, my friends, and peace out.
It's from Maddie ALLin of HEX Therapy Live. I like Maddie. Maddie tries to make the world a healthier place. He's a mental health professional. He's done research.
Big videos on sudden wealth syndrome.
There's nothing that a human being can do better than try and heal his fellow man.
Maddie ALLin's got that covered. Does emotional, feel good, mind management, emotion stuff, like, as his gig, because he's a therapist. That's what he does for a living. Like, he helps heal people.
What's good, Maddie? At a stake in today. Think I'm gonna throw a party for the Hexicans. You know, it's gonna be live. I want you to come over, call everybody, call ATX and them. Tell them to stop through, man. It's gonna be live today. Gonna turn up for you, Maddie. And we're live.
Hey, yo, Trace, you ready?
And we're live.
We're live like Maddie ALLin. We're live like Maddie ALLin.
And we stick in the hex, cause you know it's the best.
We're live like Maddie ALLin. We're live like Maddie ALLin.
And we reppin' the hex, cause you know it's the best.
We're live like Maddie ALLin.